again, and the last one. Yes. So by this, I can get some data here. But as I'm creating all the template using this only XML file, I should also get the font size, the style of the text and other things. So we have to mention some attributes over here. In all the labels, I need to pass some attributes so that we can generate our styling and other things. So first I'll pass some font size for my name, which will be 22. Then I'll pass some style over here, which will be bold. And the last one, the color. And the white color is only 6 time here. And here in the template section, also want my root template should have the green, right? So I need to pass that color here and not any other thing. So I already have that color in our yesterday. I'll copy that from here. I'll paste it. Yes, this was the color. And also I have to mention for other things also. I'll mention the font size here. It will be 18. And don't put any comma here. The style, which will be normal for this one. Again, the color, which was the white color. Same thing for all other things. So I'll just copy it. Yes, now we have our data from which we can create one layout. Yes, we have our body color, which we can set to our linear layout. Then we have our text view here with the ID from which we can get data, and also the attributes which will help us to create that text view here. Right now, the next thing is we have to retrieve this all the data and you have to create one text view. So first we have to open this file. We have seen how to open the file earlier. I'll just make some space here. I have to call the input string, and then with the get assets dot open, and here you have to pass the file name. Let's check the spelling once when you are passing the file name. Now you can see it is giving me a red line because it needs to be surrounded with the try and catch. So we have to surround it with the try and catch, and then we can start our DOM. We have to create one document factory here. I will call it as a factory only, and then we have to initialize that as new instance. Then we need one document builder here, which we can create using that factory, not new document builder. Yes, now you can see it also have some exception, so we have to handle that exception also. So you can just click on the red ball icon and add catch clause here. So it will add the catch clause of that builder. Then once that is done, we have to create one document now, and it will be created using our builder dot parse, and here you have to pass your file name from which you have to create the document. Then once that is done, what will happen is you can see here is also another red line. We have to also add the catch for that. You can see the another catch is added here. Yes. Now what will happen is when we retrieve some data from this kind of layout, sometimes what will happen is here you can see I'm not giving any space in between here. But sometimes what will happen, it will automatically add some space between here while I'm retrieving. So I don't want that extra space, or it will create some errors while we are passing that ID here when we are extracting the data from the JSON. So we don't want any extra spaces over here. So what we have to do here, we have to call our document dot normalize. So it will remove all the extra things from here. So now once our document is setted, now we can use the document to get some data here. So we will start with our retrieving data. First, we have to create a node list, because whatever we get written from the document will be in the format node list. We have to create that node list, and then we can call our document dot get element by tag name. Now you have already seen this command in the web development. You can use this get element by tag and get element by ID. Then you can select on specific tag or the ID and you can manipulate that. But for the first thing, when we are creating our layout dynamically, I'm not just adding any XML file here and adding the your data from the JSON. I also want to create all the things dynamically. So what we want to do is we want to iterate over all these things. I don't want only one specific tag here. By this method, I will only get one specific tag. So I don't want only one specific tag. I want the one loop which will create. It will go first here, then it will go here, then it will go here, then it will go here, and it should give also the all the things over here. Right. So first, what we want to do, we don't want to select only one specific tag. We want to select all the tags. So what you can do is to select all the tags. You have to just mention star here. So it will give all the tags inside that document. So once that is done, you can run one for loop here. That is equal to 0 I less than node list dot get length and then I plus that. So it will iterate all through all the tags over there. So once we have got that method to retrieve all data, some kind of data from that tag, we need one element here. We will create one element here and we will call our node list dot item and you have to pass the index here. Yes. So by default it will be in the type of node. So we have to typecast it. We will mention here the element. Yes. Now we got the item here. When we got that, we can check what the attributes are, what the ID name is, so all the things. So first what I will do is I will only retrieve this color here. Okay. So for that, what we can do is we will only I will put one condition here. If element dot get tag name dot equals to template. Yes. If that tag is equal to template, then what I want to do is I will make one another string over here, which will be title color. And I will comment all the text views over here. We don't want that area of this. We will keep our images over here. Okay. Now what I will do is here inside here, I will retrieve that color from that. So I'll call the title color is equal to element dot get attribute, and in the attribute name you have to pass the attribute name. You can see these are the attribute names here: style, color, font size. So I want the color here. I'll call the color. Yes, so it should give me the color. I will also log just directly put it on over here. Where was my linear layout? You can see here I was setting the background of the linear layout. Now I don't want to pass here any hard coded stuff. I will just pass that title color over here. Okay. So what we are doing is we are retrieving the data and we are passing it. So if we run our app again, okay. Yeah, this is up. We are running this before this don't have any data over here. You have to cut that and paste it up to here. Not here. Sorry. Now you can see I'm getting the background color over here. The first thing what I did was wrong. I was calling this method first when I was not retrieving any data. So we have to call that method when you are retrieving any data. I'm retrieving the data here. Then I'm setting that title color here. So I'm getting the background color. If I change the background color over here only in the template, that I will just give it a black background color. and then I'll rerun it. You can see it is having a background color of the black. So now what you can just pass some commands over here and it will create one layout for you. So what we will do is now we will also generate all our text views which you have commented over here. You can see this was our first text view of the name, the age, then the college names and the other text views, right? So we will create all those things over here only. So what we will do is we will also create one model class so that we can handle our data easily. We will create one model class here. And in this model class, I will create some strings of name, age, then my usual not all those things. Sorry. We want our text, we want our font size, then we want our color, and then we want our style. This will help us to create one model class and store it in array list. So I will create one constructor over here and also the getters and setters. Yes. Now we can use this model class to put some data or get some data. So what we will do is here, we will first initialize one array list here, array list of model class. And then we will start here. And you can see when we want to start our model classes, when we get this specific tag, when we get our label tag, we want to start our model class. Because what all we are passing in the model class is the text, the font size, the color, and the style. Where are we getting all those things from here? I'm getting inside this label tag. So when I get that tag, I want to retrieve all this data. When there is not that tag, when let's say I'm on the first tag on the template, I don't want to use my model class here. So what I have to do is I have to again add one condition here at element dot get element by tag name dot equals to our label. Yes. So what are doing? We are only checking if the tag is equal to label. So when it is equal to label, I want to retrieve all the data and you have to put it inside a model class. So I'm initializing one new model class here. And now we have to pass all those data. First, you have call our element dot get text content dot trim. So it will provide you the text inside that label. So what was our text inside here? These were the text here. So you will get these all text by using this method element dot get text content dot trim, because we don't need any extra spaces over there. So I'm calling trim. Then the next thing are the attributes. We need all those attributes. So what we will call is element dot get attribute, and you have to pass the attribute name here. The first thing you will pass the font size, then the other things element dot get attribute. What was you also see the model class sequence over here. The third thing we want to pass is the color, and then the style. Yes. Now once all the data inside my model class, I want to add this model class to an array list. Add and then model. Why we are adding one array list is because here we are not dealing only one kind of data here. If you are having only one label, our model class will give you the correct data. But if you are having multiple labels here, what will happen is if you are not adding one array list here, only the last data will be added to your model class, because it will be looping over that model class. So what I will do is in the first loop, it will add this text content and all the attributes. In the next loop, it will add this, then at the last loop it will add this, and all the previous data will be lost. So what we will get at the last is only this data. So we want all the data here, so that for that we are using the array list here. So when we creating one a model class with the particular data, I want to add that to my array list. So we can get all the data inside my array list only. So once that is done, you can start retrieving your data from that array list. How you can do that is, I will create one here inside this, because also we need the user data, this object, JSON object, to retrieve the data of inside this key value pair. So you have to start one for loop for your array list. So I'll mention here the for loop in j is equal to 0 and j is less than array list dot type, and then j. Okay. So what we will do is, before creating all those things, we will check if there is some data inside over here. So what I'll do is, I'll just log .e and I'll call it as data array, and then I'll pass the first text constant inside my array list dot get 0 dot get text. So let's see if we are getting some data. I'll run it and open my logcat. You can see this is all the text here. I'm getting that text here, right? So all the things are working properly here. We can start retrieving it. Is there any problem? Let's check it. Then we'll start retrieving it here over here. If we are getting all things. Here I will run one for loop. Are the things clear till now? Yes.
Yes, sir.
And then what we will do is, we will only create one single text view here, new text view, and we should pass the context over here. Yes. And first we will add only the text here. So first we have to check if there is some data inside your array list, because if there is a null data, it will give an the error and it will crash your app. So first you have to check that array list dot get. You can pass the index of j here and dot get text, and dot is empty. So I will put here the not, because I'm checking if the data is not empty. Then what I want to do is, I want to add that text over here. So I'll add that here, and you can call the array list dot get the index of that, then get text. And you should add this to your linear layout. Linear layout add view and your text view. Let's check if it is creating the text views. JSON object error. Trailing comma. Okay, the comma I added one extra comma over here. Let's check it again. You can see it is creating all the text views we are getting here, right? It is now by default it is in the black, so because we are not adding any text color over here. You can see here I'm getting the first text inside my template here. You can see the first was the name, I'm getting the name here. The second was the age, I'm getting that. And we are only generating only one text view, and we are looping over the data of the array list. So it is optimizing our code a lot, because first what we were doing was we are creating the separate text views and the separate styling for all those things. Right now we can only create all the things with only a single text view. So we will start styling that. Now once the text is done, we will add some color to it. So if array list dot get the index of that dot get color dot is empty. If that is not empty, we should add that some color to our text view. That text color, and you have to pass that color dot pass, and you should get that color here. That color. Yes. Now we have added the color. Then we should add some styling. We should add the font size here. The paragraph get font size dot is not empty. Then we should set that font size to our text view. That text size, and you have to parse it into the integer, because here you can see in my templates I'm passing the font size as a string value here. I'm double quoting it. We have to pass that to an integer, passing, and you have to pass that array. Now the last thing was the style. Now when the style we are mentioning as the normal only, we don't need to add anything, right? So what we will do is, if the data is not empty, we will again add one another if here to check if it is bold. Then get index dot j dot get style dot equals to bold. Yes, if that is bold, then only we will add some styling over here, or else we don't add anything. We will keep it as normal only. Dot set typeface, and here bold. Okay, now let's check all the things here. Now you can see I'm getting the text views, the font color, font size, the font color, and also the styling over here. You can see the only my first text is bold here, and all the others are normal here. So all the things are working correctly, right? So now we have to also set some data from the JSON here. You can see I'm only getting that ID of that. So what you can do is, in the set text, you have to call your JSON object, which was the user data which you have created here. You can see this was my JSON object. Yes, I'll call that dot get string, and in that string value you have to pass this array here, data from your array. Now let's check if we get some data from our JSON. You can see that we are getting the data from our JSON also now. Yes. Now once that is done, we can only use one layout parameter and center all those things. We will just create one layout parameter over here. Layout parameters dot wrap content, and the next one again the wrap content, and we can add this layout parameter to our text view dot set layout param, and then you can give the gravity to that params dot gravity equal to gravity dot center. If I run my app again, you can see all the things are centered and we are getting all the data here, and we are only creating one text view and using it inside one loop to create all the other text views. Yes, are there any doubts?
No, sir.
Pravina, any doubt?
No, sir.
Are the things clear here?
Yes, sir.
The first thing you have to do is you have to create one document object over here. First you have to pass the your file over here which you are in which we are creating the XML template. Then you have to create one document here. Then you have to create one node list, and to first you have to get all the tags over here using this star. When we get all the tags inside our document, then we can select all the each one tag. You can see I'm selecting the first tag to only retrieve the color, and if I'm getting the label tag, I want to retrieve all the things inside that. Yes, so if you are having a nested XML layout, I will show you in the 1 minute. Then I'm adding all the data from that label inside my model class, and I'm adding that model class inside my array list. So we will get all the data. Then when we are getting all the data, where we are creating the JSON object, you can see here we were creating our JSON object. There only I'm starting on another for loop to my array list to get all the data, and I'm creating only one single text view with the layout parameters to it and the gravity. And then you have to check if the data is not null. So I'm creating checking here. If it is not empty, then I want to set some text over here. If the color is not empty, then I want to set the color whichever we are getting from our XML layout. Then if the font size is not empty, we have to set some font size, because sometimes what will happen is we will just when we want the default font size of the Android Studio, we will not mention any font size over here. So if we are not mentioning any font size, it should work fine. So what we are doing, we are checking also the if it is not empty. Yes, because there will be some cases at which we need the default font size of our Android Studio, which will be a lot more responsive. So we are doing that. Then if we are checking the style, if the style is not empty, because in this case I am only having one style, which is the bold, and the others are normal, which will be normally done by the Android Studio only. So inside that also I am checking if the style is equal to bold. Then if it is only bold, I am setting some bold styling to my text view. And then last, when the loop is completed, I'm adding that you have to add this add view inside your this for loop. If you are adding that outside of your for loop, what will happen is this only the last view will be created, not the other things will be created. Only the last view will be created. So you have to add this inside the for loop, because when we complete one loop, I want to create that specific text view here. Yes. So you can create some complex layout with it. It was a very simple, so you might think it is a very simple task to do. But let me show one another. You can, this is one nested XML layout, and it is a way lot more complex than you can think, because here we have to check all the tags, all the headers, all the labels. Then if you can see here I'm creating one table layout. Inside the table, my row, if that row has any columns, if that column have any header, if that header have any label. This was the first row, but in the third row you can see it have two columns over here, and in each column you can see this is a column, this is an header. Inside that header on another label, inside another one child as content, and another child of that content is label, and another footer, and another child of it, and another column in that only row. It is not a separate row. In that only row you can create. So this is a nested XML layout, which will be a little more complex while creating, because you have to keep track of each tag over here and each attributes over here, because you can see I'm not mentioning any styling to other because I want the default styling for other things. So I'm only mentioning the styling over here and not mentioning to this text view, because so you have to keep track of all attributes, you have to keep track of all text view IDs, you have to keep track of all your row columns. So this will be a lot more complex. So you can try on yourself and make it a lot more complex. You can also add some image views. To add some image views, what you have to do is inside here you can pass this kind of layout over here. When you are mentioning any drawable layout, you have to mention @drawable / your image name, and while parsing that image, uh, yes, you can see here is then you have to first mention that image view over here, and then you have to create one drawable resource file. Then you have to mention the resource file over here which we will be getting from the XML layout. Then you have to add that resource file to your image view. Yes. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Ramya?
Sir, dynamic layout only helps to professional purpose only, sir. For professional apps only. Or
Dynamic
if
layout
you can
helps.
recommend.
Yeah, you can do the simple apps using the dynamic layout also. But the main thing for which we use the dynamic layout is to reduce the app size, because there will be an apps which will be an creating in a single activity. The app will be creating a multiple UI layout, UI elements, like which I said you the example of the DigiLocker. They are creating only in the single XML file. They are creating all the government issued documents as the UI elements, right? So at that time they don't want to create all the UI elements and keep all those files. So they can use the dynamic layouting for that purpose. So when we are dealing with a big amount of data and you don't want to make your app size to go bigger and bigger, so that time you can use the XML parsing, JSON parsing, and you can use the dynamic layouting to keep your app as small as possible, and also it should work fine.
Okay, sir.
You can use this to for a single activity also, but the main motive of using the XML parsing was that purpose, because you don't want to create the UI elements on your own. You can just give it a method, so it will create automatically. Yes, any other doubts?
No, sir.
If you master it, you can see the if you are mastering any some kind of nested layouts, you will get a lot of experience and it will help you a lot in the placements also, because these things are more advanced things. Some kind of layouts also go in the research and development task also. If you are creating one really complex XML files with all the dynamic layout, then you will get a lot more value in your interview, because these things are a lot more complex than it seems to be. If you are good with it, you can get a lot good opportunity. So try it, make sure you are practicing it, because it will not just be okay if you are doing it once. I will also show you another method of XML parsing only in tomorrow's section. This was a DOM method. There are lots of other methods also, like XML full parser and SAX parser. We'll use the XML full parser in our tomorrow, because there are some you can say some uses of the DOM parser specifically and some uses of the XML parser specifically which you want to use. So I'm introducing all that also. That will work wholly different. Same thing we will add. We will be dealing with the tag names and attributes only, but the functionality of that parser will be a little different. So we'll discuss that also, because you don't know which will come in help when you are creating some kind of layout. Sometimes your DOM parser will work fine, sometimes your XML parser will work fine. So we'll show that also. Make sure you are practicing this thing. Yes, any doubts?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. To try it on your own, make some little bit nested also if you want to do some good things. So if there are no doubts, we will end this meeting.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.